Hashtag KBCBT, let's get crafty.
Keith Breen here from Keith Breen's Craft Beer Tour of New Zealand. We're here in Christchurch at Pomeroy's old brewery, and it's my pleasure to introduce Steve Pomeroy.
Hi.
And Ava Nakakawa. Now you two are related, aren't you? Like a father-daughter sort of setup, yeah?
Father-daughter situation.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So you two make this whole place tick, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Steve bought the place, 18 years ago? You would have been still in school.
16.
You're 16 years old?
Yep.
And then how many years later did you sort of become involved in the business?
I started working from when they bought it, pretty much. I used to work Sundays with Steve behind the bar.
Was she good off the bat, Steve?
Oh, absolutely. Hospitality's in the blood.
It is, yeah.
Yep.
And there's no doubting that whatsoever. And as far as hospitality goes, I mean, people come in here and they'll sidle up to the bar and they'll say, "I'm after a beer." And I mean, what are you going to say back to them?
Well, I would ask what type of beers they like, and I'd make some suggestions. And sometimes the staff or myself would give me tasters.
Yeah.
And we always encourage people to try new and different beers and enjoy the experience.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, the range of beers in here. I mean, I'm standing at the table with these two fantastic people, and we've got this. 9 beers in front of us. So that's almost a third of what's on offer here at, I mean, my maths isn't that good. And I recently just did my GST and I'm not sure if it's right. Is that...
Under a third.
Under a third?
Yeah.
Is it?
32 taps.
32 taps?
Yes.
There you go, my number's wrong. So 32 taps on hand. You've got hand pull.
Yes.
And then going right through the cavalcade of beers from dark through to... Talk me through it. There's
Pilsners, lagers, wheat beers, darks. There's even some coffee. Is a coffee one there, I think?
There's a coffee stout, yes.
Coffee stout, yeah.
So, there's a complete range, and I think what actually happens when Ava does the buying and puts it together, we try and have a complete range so people have lots of opportunities to try different beers.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. And so you've got the Poms range on the table here, and then you've got some of the other beers also.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do here is show how diverse beer is and how big a range. I mean, there's over 100 styles of beer to date, and it's really showing that maybe you don't like beer, you think you don't like beer, but actually, in actual fact, it is about finding the right one, and there's different flavour profiles in all of them.
Yeah.
And this is just such a small show of actually the possibilities in beer.
So essentially you've got just over a quarter of the different beer options on tap at any given day here at Poms. Shall we try one of these? Steve, what do you got on the end there?
I think we've got a Pomeroy's Pilsner.
Oh yeah,
it's a sort of like a light, refreshing beer, designed probably more for summer.
Yeah.
Type of thing that you come in and quenches your thirst. It's lively, it's tasty, but not over the top. It's not like a big pale ale.
Yeah,
it's not too fruity.
It's the sort of thing that you could have a bit of a session on, yeah.
Yeah, and just enjoy it. Which have a wee taste.
I'll have a wee taste.
You can't drink while you're working.
So I'm going to have a wee sip of that, Steve, and. Now
you can just feel that, like it's a wee bit tingling on your tongue. It's nice and fresh. It's just a really good. Summery Pilsner.
Yep, yeah. And crisp and tasty, and post maybe mow the lawns, then come down to Poms and chuck into one of those.
Well, something you could sort of have a nibble on while you're digging the garden in the morning.
There you go. So that's the Pilsner, and then what else we got here? Okay, so what's the second one we've got here, Steve?
That's a Poms Lager. Again, it's more designed for just after work. It's a 3.8%, and it's just really refreshing. Bit of an after work beer. Enjoy the occasion. I probably drink it all the time because I really enjoy a nice lively lager. You're most enjoyable. Yeah.
I'm going to try. Well, you have a go first.
You have a go first.
Yeah. Are you sure? Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's like mother's milk.
I'm not sure what your mother used to eat.
Well,
but just like once again, just Nice summery drink, not too strong, designed really, just that people can come in after work and have 2 or 3 pints and make sure they're on the right side of things.
Yeah.
I think the thing with lagers and pilsners as well is that so often in beer trends, people tend to move them to the side and say, it's not as challenging as a pale ale or an unfiltered IPA.
Yeah.
But the thing is actually to make a good lager and a good pilsner is actually exceptionally hard.
Yeah,
there's nothing you can hide behind.
Well,
within those styles, for it to be clean and crisp and without fault is really hard. And, I, over the years, have noticed one of the beers that brewers will drink are lagers and pilsners and wheat beers,
It's like, when you're making a scone, you've got nothing to hide behind it. It's either good or bad.
100%.
Yeah.
Just like a scone.
Just like a scone.
I do my scones sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Now, and, let's not rush things. We can always bounce back to it, but I'm going to guess that, is that a wheat beer you've got there?
No, that's a pale ale.
A pale ale, and I do like
Not
a pale
so
ale.
pale.
Yeah, not so pale, yeah. That's the Pom's pale ale, yeah?
Yeah, a little bit cloudy in the glass, a little bit of aroma there. Have a taste.
Yeah.
Keith.
Let's have a wee go. That's just delicious. It really is. It's that. There's something. It's just the snappy element to a pale ale.
But on the tongue, a bit fizzy up front.
Yeah.
Quite full tasting. Sips down the back, and you can get a little bit of aftertaste there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not too floral, but just nice and tasty.
Just a bit of stuff in there. Yeah. No, that's delicious. And then crikey, we've got a fair few beers to get through here. What's that on the end? That's going to be an amber. And this is quite. You mentioned that you first sort of kicked off over in England. There would have been a fair few of these over there, would there? It's quite an English brew, isn't it?
It's kind of more of an American amber, do you think?
Yeah, American amber is the style. Amber is quite broad. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mind you, over in England, that'd be on a hand pull, wouldn't it?
I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I would go on that. There's just something so earthy about an amber, I think.
Did we win a silver with us at New Zealand Beer Awards? I think we did.
There we
won
go.
a silver with that.
There we go. Just thought you'd drop that in there, Steve.
Oh, I had to get that right in there. Oh, well, look, it holds the glass well. It's quite tasty up front. Once again, you get a lot of taste on the front of your tongue and feel it around your inside of your mouth. Yeah, a little bit dry, but fresh still. Yeah.
Now, at the recent awards, so you got that award there, and what did you pick any others up?
Yes, a few silvers and bronzes across the ranges.
Oh, there you go. That's just,
I think a lot of people don't realise how big the beer awards are. I'm not sure. Is there 20 judges there? It's
over 20, and there was about 1,000, just under 1,000 entries.
Wow.
It's huge.
So to come out with 5 or 6 or however many awards is fantastic.
What we entered, I think all beers bar one medal. So for those odds is pretty good. And you have to remember as well, is it's so easy to go, it's a bronze or a silver, but actually the quality of the beer now in New Zealand and it's a medalled beer is a medalled beer.
A medalled beer is a medalled beer.
And the other thing is too is that it's not just New Zealand judges. Judges come from Australia. And it's really a 2-week thing for them, tasting and getting together.
Hell of a 2 weeks. As you say, a medal's a medal. And I went down to the Golden Oldies Games down in Timaru a couple of weeks back, and I took out a bronze, and there's no way you're ripping that out of my hands. I tell you what, I'm still waving it around. I've got it wrapped around the mailbox just so the postie still sees it. Tell me about, I believe, Steve, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way you acquired this fantastic establishment is, was it approached by a number on a napkin?
I think what actually happened is that, to wind the story back a bit, after returning to New Zealand, a bit of a stint in England working in a local pub, bit of a time in Canada.
What was the name of that place?
It was called the Fountain Inn.
The Fountain Inn. In
Tembury, Wales, yes, on Tembury Common.
Yeah.
I fell in love with English pubs, and arriving back in New Zealand, I walked in here about 30 years ago through this door. And quite quickly fell in love with the ambience, an old building. Brickwork.
Beautiful exposed beams inside.
Hoovering down a couple of quiet pints and always said to myself, I'd love to buy this place sometime. And then one Friday evening after a couple of pints in, myself and Captain Collins were having a couple of quiets.
Captain Collins, run me through Captain Collins?
Captain Collins at that stage owned the building.
And
he was my neighbour. And he was flying MD-11s out of Taipei those days. And making a handy sum for doing it. And we approached Alex and said, look, I'd like to buy this, and with a pencil and a piece of paper actually wrote an offer out. And gave it to him and sort of had a couple more beers, didn't think much of it. Then the phone rang on Tuesday and he said, yep, it's yours. And then I just sort of said to my darling wife, I said, darling, you see, you're Friday. Victoria, yes. So, you know, Friday night, a couple of pints, and she said, yes, Steve, you're very good. You took a taxi home. I said, I think I might have bought the pub. Hang on a second.
Oh, wow. And so, I mean, so how many years have you had it now?
18 years.
18 years. And in that time, there would have been a few changes, I mean, nothing too much to the bones of, well, maybe the changes in the bones, but not the facade, the beautiful, relaxed and English-style pub interior still in there. But we've had an earthquake in that time, haven't we?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, the pub has that old-world ambience in it and the solid brickwork. If you look at the brickwork, it's laid in a Flemish style, so every fourth course the bricks are laid sideways. And I'll show you right here.
So we're at the right-hand side of the front entrance.
So those bricks are running parallel and these ones running in...
So you've got a long brick followed by two short bricks, so the bricks going endways.
Opposite ways, and these walls are 3 imperial bricks wide.
So it's
triple brick. And in some cases it's 4 bricks wide, so this would be one of the very, very few masonry buildings of any size left in Christchurch. And this building was built, the start of construction we believe around 1854, 1867, I think the Wards brothers from England, the 5 brothers come here and started brewing here. And that's quite some time ago, isn't it? And,
well, it's interesting because we're on the craft beer tour. We've been around a few different places, and in the laboratory, they actually have some of the trusses in that building they've built out there in Lincoln that are part of the original building here.
Well, no, that's part of the building off to one side. Which
the other extension.
Yeah, Mr. Pickwick's used to be in there. Well, all the trusses were actually Canadian origin, very big trusses, but strong and light. So we sustained about $1.8 million worth of damage to the building after the earthquake.
During the quake, right.
And we were closed. We were closed for 6 weeks. And had no power, water, sewage, telecommunications. And in that time, I took that time to do some temporary strengthening works, and so we opened probably about 6 to 8 weeks after the earthquake.
Which is phenomenal.
After doing some temporary repairs, and after the army and the police was inside the court.
Because there would have been, we're standing at the front door, and there's quite a big intersection there on Fitzgerald Ave, and there was tanks cordoning off this sort of area.
Well, we fed those army guys how much they couldn't get in the tanks at the end of it.
And a couple of beers, maybe.
Oh, okay, a couple of quiets.
Keep that hush, though.
So I said, just keep your turret the right way.
Face it this way, and here's another 6-pack. And the massive 6 weeks to be able to get to the point where you could open up again, and Christchurch would have come out in the droves, wouldn't they?
Yes, well,
I think I even recall that first day you opened.
Well, we invited the very Reverend Hugh Barron from the church down the road, which fell over. I think I forget the name of the church, and we asked him to say a couple of words before we opened, because it's not just the people who lost their lives; there are many people who were seriously hurt. So we decided to have a minute's silence for that, and he said a couple of very poignant words. He enjoyed a pint or two, so we got the Reverend sort of probably a bit tipsy and sent him home, and it was a great afternoon. And in that period we were exceptionally busy, probably the first 3 or 4 months. I mean, in fact, we had to have people on the door to stop people coming in. We couldn't have any more people in.
Yeah, right, yeah.
But one thing, there was no trouble, and people were just really, really happy to have a place where they could gather and enjoy a couple of beers and have a meal, and families started bringing out their grandparents and kids and families in, and I think it's really important that a local pub is open to families and grandparents and kids, because that's how they should be.
And dogs?
And dogs.
The occasional dog comes in.
Yeah.
You've got a dog yourself, don't you?
I do, yeah. So why don't you come in and have a look around?
Speaking that dogs are allowed, I'll follow you, shall I?
Woof.
Yeah. So we're making our way in after you, Steve.
Thank you.
To the Pomeroy's old brewery inn, and you can just feel it. It's my heart rate's gone down just from walking in. What a beautiful place to have a beer, Steve. And looking around the walls, you've got like a museum of pictures.
Well, some people call me a museum, but anyway.
Or museum piece.
But I think there's a couple of things here. Is that this original entranceway here used to be big wooden gates, and they used to back horses and wagons in here, and through this chute here, they'd put that flap down, and upstairs where all of the hops and malts and goods to brew were stored. And
so let me just paint the picture. As you're walking in the door and then you turn left, you can see the bar, but above there is a bit of a chute, and that's what you're talking about up in the roof there.
So the whole upstairs space was really storage for hops, malts and grains.
Yeah.
And that would be split, but the sacks we pulled up here. And this main area here was the dispatch area, when once the brewing had been complete, all of the big wooden kegs or barrels were lined up here and put back on the wagons, and they would leave out through the door.
And now I think we're getting a little bit closer to, I mean, obviously cricket's a great sport, Steve, but we're just past the entrance that goes down to the toilets and to the right as you walk across there by the pool table. You go out into the courtyard, and we'll go out there a bit later. Beautiful sunny courtyard for a beer. But Richie McCaw's jumper, he's, for those of you who aren't from New Zealand, he's the captain of the All Blacks for some time recently, a couple of years back, retired. But you're a rugby nut, aren't you?
Well, I don't look like this for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so that's Richie's club rugby shirt, which was presented to one of the Christchurch members of the Christchurch Rugby Club, who brought it down there and hung it up there because he wanted to feel like home.
Yeah, beautiful. And you had a stint of playing the rugby overseas, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a bit of a bash in Australia, South Africa, England and Canada. Yes.
And Canada, yeah. And I noticed we were in Beer Baroness, and we walked past the warehouse out the back there, and you got the big Canadian flag up there.
Yeah, well, I had 8 years there, so when I left, they gave me the big Canadian flag.
As the take this away with you.
And don't come back.
And don't come back. I thought you were going to say that. Just slowly make our way around the pub and see what we find. Is there anything... so we're just to the left of the fireplace, and there's some frames there with a yellow surround. Is there... What are we looking at here?
They're basically... famous cricket players of the time. And this is the most interesting picture over here. That's William Britton, William Geeson.
Oh yeah, is he any relation to Geeson's wines?
Probably. Britton motorcycles, probably the grandfather, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Sort of regal sort of frame there with a fellow who doesn't look like he has much of a neck.
No.
Or it could just be a high collar. You never know.
A big bow tie.
Yeah.
But this is very interesting. This year's awards Brewery cricket team.
Oh, yeah?
1918, 1919. And I guess those were some of the guys who would have come back from the First World War, or as the First World War wound down. And so Wards had its own cricket team.
Yeah.
And then we had the Pomeroy's Wanderers there at one time.
And are you up in that picture there?
No, absolutely not, no.
Never played?
Never played, no.
Never played. But the Pomeroy's Wanderers?
Yeah.
Well, and they don't exist?
Well, they've wandered off.
They've found somewhere else to reside. And then, of course, the Chris Cairns...
yes, well, that's quite controversial.
It is. Well, it'd be fixed to the wall quite well, would it?
I don't know.
So to speak. So we're sort of almost on the other side of the window, opposite the front entrance. So you go in and around the jukebox and around to the left, and there's what looks like an array of pictures in here. There's another Ward's Brewery up there.
So this one here is a very interesting picture. This probably would taken in the late 1800s, and these here were the brewery workers who worked in here.
So there's a line of gentlemen dressed a la the period. Well, they're probably not dressed a la the period. That's probably just what they wore back then.
There's one very interesting. If you look very closely there, this guy's holding a big cat. He was a brewery cat.
The brewery cat?
Yeah. So in the earthquake, that building there and those buildings and all that actually were so badly damaged that we pulled down.
Yep.
And this is where Little Pom's Cafe has been cut out. There's a drive through there now.
Yeah, right. So,
but the building itself is actually as it was when it was built, really.
So if you look at this picture and then you were to whip outside, you have to put your pint down, maybe ask the lovely bar staff if they can look after it for a second. But you have a look at this. This is what was all there prior to the earthquake, with maybe a few adaptations here and there. But you can see the expanse of what is Pom's and Pomeroy's pub and Little Pom's, and then the buildings that aren't there anymore, which is the gravel car park out there.
Yeah, well, the tower went.
Yeah.
All that's gone. So it's been pretty interesting up there. They used to have out the back of the pub all the draft horses had stables out the back and a hand bottling plant. And these were a couple of the old, the extra brown stout made by Ward's Branch and Crown Champion Ale and Ward's Pale Ale. And so there's just some bits and pieces which we collected and
It's fantastic. That is a striking picture, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what a building. It must feel nice to be able to say, this is your pub, to be able to see the history there.
I think there's so much history, and as I said, there's very few masonry buildings of any size left in Christchurch. So walking in here, it's really, really some of the real past of the city.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful, isn't it? I've taken a bit of time out this afternoon to sit in a booth here at Pomeroy's with the boss himself, Steve Pomeroy, and just sort of search out, some of the stories that have happened over the years. Being a publican, you'd see some stuff. It's almost like the more exciting version of a hairdresser, really, isn't it?
Like being a publican and serving people at the bar, most stuff's on a 10-year code of silence.
Right, so...
whatever we hear goes in, never comes out. But, this building has had a colourful past. And particularly when the girls were operating upstairs there.
Yeah, right. I did hear a bit about that. Never experienced it firsthand, but there was a...
I have all the tapes of all the people going, anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, all right then.
Okay, Keith, you're right or not?
I've got $50 in the back pocket. We'll just keep it quiet, shall we?
On one occasion where the girls were trying to encourage trade up there one hot Wednesday.
While the pub was going.
While the pub was going, one Wednesday evening, they tilted the windows open and hung their legs out and were waving to people driving down Kilmore Street, and there was an accident on the corner of Fitzgerald and Kilmore.
Right.
Well,
which is right out front of the pub,
just kind of looking up there, and then there was an accident. The police called here and said, look, could you get those girls in before there's another accident? But anyway, one particular time we had Big Barry on the bass, and we had Square Deal Neil, the German, on the drums.
Yeah.
And we had quite a well-known organ player, singer who was blind, playing up on the band, playing up here on Sunday jazz sessions.
That's not John Hoare.
No, it wasn't.
He was a blind organ player.
Oh, yeah, that's the bloke, yeah, very talented. And anyway, they decided to cut a wee album in here one Sunday, so they asked everybody to be quiet while they banged out
so they recorded it in the pub?
Yes, banged out 5 or 6 numbers, and Anyway, away they went and they knocked them out, and everybody's having a few beers and clapping between numbers, and at the end of it, which was very, very good, they all stood up and bowed, and one of our local girls, Maggie, jumped up and gave John a hug, and she had those pointy up type glasses like that, and as she bent down to hug him, she pulled back and popped his glass eye out.
Really?
And he said, look, Maggie, thank you very much, but my eye's gone.
Yeah.
And then someone over there said, I've got the eye, right, I've got that.
Yeah.
So I darted out and got some soda water, popped it in there and washed it and gave it back to me.
He popped it back in?
Yeah.
I've never seen a glass eye out of an eye socket, actually.
So that's one of the more colourful things that happen. Yeah.
I also know this about you, Steve, is that you're quite good at reciting the occasional poem. You've done it before, and I'm sure you'll do it again. Have you got one that just comes to mind that we could rattle out today?
Oh, I guess so. Oh, Mother dear, I'm over here, never to return. What keeps me here is the rake of beer, the woman and the crack. The crack was good at Cricklewood, the glasses were flying, the biddies were crying, the Irish were going to town. Neville Chamberlain went by train, Adolf Hitler went by plane. We walked the Great South Road and got there just the same. They stick you behind a mixer till your back is bent and tanned, then they slap you on the back with your boat fare in your hand. How's that?
Oh, that's beautiful. Steve Pomeroy, you're an absolute treat, and one of the things that anyone who comes here for a beer regularly speaks heartfelt about is that occasionally around sort of 5 o'clock at night, you might see Steve walking around and tapping people on the back and making sure that the locals and the newcomers are all feeling very welcome within this place. And as a fella who's had a couple of beers here over the years, I'd like to say thank you for that. And it's a pleasure sitting down with you having a beer today, mate. Cheers. We're situated in the
booth.
In the booth, yeah. It's just beside the library here, and I'm sitting with Victoria Pomeroy. And Victoria, how are you, darling?
I'm good, thanks, Keith.
Yeah, Victoria, a la Victoria's Kitchen, and the wife of Steve Pomeroy, and we've had a chat with Steve, and he's a bloody nice chap, isn't he?
He's a good bloke.
Yeah. And
He's a good bloke.
You're also the...
He's a perfect publican.
He is.
Yes, he is.
He loves a chat.
Yeah, I'm a behind-the-scenes girl.
You're a behind-the-scenes girl.
You can see that about me, can't you?
Yeah. But also, you were in charge of bringing to this world this amazing young lady called Ava Nakagawa.
That's right.
Yeah,
my treasure.
It's a real family, isn't it?
It is a real family. Yeah. It's a community.
It's a community. Well,
Keith.
The family embraces the community.
Absolutely.
Would you say?
Yep. That's what it's all about. That's
Yeah.
first and foremost for us.
Yeah. And what's your favourite thing about the pub, Victoria?
The fact that it is a community, that it's a place that people can come and be together, be supported, and all that goes with that. Yeah, without being judged. That's it in a nutshell.
It's a relaxed environment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It can be very relaxed.
Very relaxed, and occasionally,
Too relaxed.
it kicks up its heels.
Yeah, it does.
And we've got fellas doing the wecker in the corner, or that's a dance move, of course, Vic, and the jukebox will start to rear up, and
we've all had our nights ripping up the carpet, Keith.
And that's exactly right, Victoria.
That is too.
And these days you've got a master chef in there.
And a master he is.
And a master he is. I mean, every time I've walked past him today, I've gone down on one knee, and
he channels Julia Childs.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
Who's Julia Childs?
Don't you know?
Oh no, let's get into that.
Well, you need to get into the other menu. You've obviously just been on the snack menu. You need to get into Victoria's Kitchen. We'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't, it's hard for me to go past the pork crackling, although when it first comes out the kitchen, it does smell like someone's
pork crackling.
Yeah. No, but we love that.
Yeah. And the happy pigs.
Oh, and that's the...
Yeah.
You can
They've
taste
been
the
blindfolded before they've been slaughtered.
Right. Well, that, these,
That was a snort.
Yes.
Did you hear that?
I did, yeah.
Do you want another one?
Oh, shadow brick. Hospitality is crucial to a good pub, and what do you think's the key to it here at Pomeroy's, Vic?
Family.
Yeah.
Yeah, family. It's grown with us.
Your family's grown around it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And people that have worked for us, which we consider family, and them having families.
Even some of the locals have ended up being, family in some sense, I believe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the jewel, that's the gem for us.
Outlook on life, Vic. When you guys first bought the pub, what was the vision?
Community, and we were focusing also on the area. Of course, since the earthquake, we've lost a whole burb. It's gone.
Yeah, which is right on the doorstep of
That's
Pomeroy.
right. Yeah.
Just
So
over the road.
people walked here. It was very much a community pub.
Yeah.
Since the earthquake, it's more of a destination pub.
Yeah.
So we're pretty lucky that that's working.
And being a destination pub, the great thing, I mean, you've got a B&B next door.
That's right.
And how did you come across that?
Well, we needed a garden bar.
Right.
So we had to buy an old student flat next door to make that happen.
Yeah, right. And you got one, and it's absolutely fantastic.
That's right.
I think the reason why people feel comfortable here is
We have drinks.
they have drinks, but also what goes well with the drinks is the food. And I believe that you come up with the offering that happens 5 o'clock every day here at Pomeroy's is an offering of
Bread and cheese.
bread, cheese, and
Onions.
and you can't go wrong with a pickled onion. I've said that forever and a day, and occasionally I've gone through half a jar. I think of Pomeroy's in the afternoon that I've been here, carrying the excess bodyage that I am, that I feel like I've got a small drip going down the back of my butt crack, and that it might be time to get outside and pass a bit of bread, cheese and onion around.
Let's do it, Keith.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything
Okay.
better. Victoria, let's go and share the love.
Cool.
We're heading out now, out into the courtyard, and the sun's shining, and I'm here with
There we go, the perfect
Victoria.
match. Bread and cheese with your beer. Go on.
How often do you come to the pub and get given this?
This is my first time.
Well, that's exactly what we're talking. Whereabouts?
England.
From England, and your name is
Sarah.
Sarah from England.
Yeah.
A pleasure to meet you, my darling.
Pleasure to meet
and
you
is
too,
this
Keith.
your?
No, this is my other half.
That's your lesser half over here. A pleasure to meet you, mate.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
I'm Neil.
Neil.
Oh, lovely.
And
Nice
how
to
long have you
see
been
you.
drinking at Pomeroy's?
How long?
Have you been drinking at Pomeroy's?
About
half an hour,
about 10
Keith.
minutes.
And already you've been given some bread, cheese.
That's right, yeah.
I mean,
Follow around for that cheese.
Are you
she's a
staying
winner
this
chicken
Oh,
dinner.
absolutely.
Yeah. You're after some bread, cheese, and pickled onions.
Why not? Why not?
Hi.
What about you,
Here
mate?
before, haven't you?
Bring it on.
Oh, okay.
It's not a bad thing
Yeah,
that
you
the
do.
fact that
Maybe
you can
you've got
come
one
to
of
the
those
pub, have a
faces
couple of
somebody else
beers,
has got.
and then they just give you a plate of bread, cheese, and the pickled onions for me is a game changer.
Yeah.
No, the pickled onion. and big chunk of cheese. Beautiful. There it is.
We came on the right day.
You do.
Yeah.
No, it happens every day.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 o'clock. No, yeah. All right, we'll make our way around here. We've got a. How are you guys? I see you've got some chips there. Would you like some bread, cheese, and pickled onions?
He's doing the sale for me.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Hi. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Yeah.
There you go. How often do you get this?
Oh, every time I come here.
That's the right answer. There we go. How are you, Woz? You'll be after some, won't you?
Absolutely, it's one of my dietary staples, mate.
Dietary staple.
Dietary staples down at Pomeroy's.
Good on you. Thank
There you go.
Go for
Beautiful
the bread.
stuff.
Yeah.
A little pickled onion too, mate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome together.
There you go. Good to see you, Woz. There you go. Old mate of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on, and it feels like some sort of 7 Sharp sort of link
Nice
as
to
you're
see you.
backtracking
Nice
and
to
make
see
sure you
you.
don't trip over that
Yeah.
step behind you. Ladies and gentlemen, this sums up the day here at Pomeroy's old brewery in Victoria. You're an absolute treat. Mwah.
You are too, Keith.
Mwah. There we go. Thanks for listening, folks. Wasn't that a bloody hoot?